Hi, I'm Leandro Facchinetti, and let's write some code together, shall we? Aria, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for being here and helping me with the old website. I think we can get her done today. I
Yes.
mean, I still have like lots of stuff to do to it, but I think in terms of what you could teach me and set up for me, I think we can make this the last one and go back to our scripting stuff.
Yes. And thank you for letting me play around with all the tools that I develop on your website. And
Hmm.
yeah, and using the infrastructure that I typically use to build websites, to deploy websites, it's always fun to make sure that it works in a broader context and that other people can use it as well. So great.
Hmm.
But before we
Yeah.
even get into what we're going to do today, you said that you have some other ideas for when we get back to other topics on the stream. Tell me about your ideas.
Yeah. Okay, so this idea, I don't know if it'll be possible, but basically it'll be one of these plugins where they work as a pair. So I don't know if we've looked at like Bose Delta plugin together. That's one of those MS encoder, decoder, that type of stuff. But this one is a delay. So so the way it works is I'll give you an example of like what I would like to use it for. Let's say I want to make a delay, but every delay is like every new delay that's created is like one semitone higher than what we played, right? So we can't really like. So what I can do is I can like put my delay on a send track and then put a pitch shifter after it, but that means that the buffer is only going like the delay is just being generated and then it gets pitch shifted. What I want to do is like a pair of plugins, so you can put a bunch of plugins between them. So one of them like kind of starts the buffer, and then the buffer goes through a bunch of effects, could be like saturation, EQs, like pitch shifting. And then the final plugin at the bottom sends it back to the top of the delay buffer. So for example, if you just have one delay and one semitone pitch shifter, every as you turn up the feedback, every new delay is one semitone higher than that, and it keeps going and going and going like that.
I
So I
see.
guess, yeah, I don't know if like there's a way for us to make a JSFX plugin that sends audio back up the signal chain in the wrong way, you know?
Yes. Okay, so let's see first if I understand this, and then we can talk about how we would build this. And then for people who are here interested in the migration of the blog, we are going to write a lot of JavaScript today. Don't worry about it. But
Yes.
let's talk about delays for a moment because that can be fun as well. So this is the Reflectosaurus that we were looking at on our last stream on Wednesday, and I think I learned
Mm-hmm.
one thing or two about this. So this is like one tab in the delay, and in
Mm-hmm.
this tab I can put some effects like saturation or I think there is some sort of pitch shifting. Yes, if I turn on
There's
the
an
grain,
octave, yeah, that one.
so then I can pitch shift. But what and now I am limited to the kinds of effects that come with Reflectosaurus for the things that I can put in the delay line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying is I would instead have a sandwich of delay effects. I don't think I have an example of this
Mm-hmm.
here, but I would have a sandwich. So I would have like the effect that is part one of the delay. Then I could put a bunch of other effects in the middle and then another one at the end. And this one at the end would send audio back to the first one. So I could use any effect I want, any VSC, whatever I want, instead of just being limited to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly it. And I did try Reflectosaurus, like the pitch shift. It works okay, but I know there are like better sounding pitch shift stuff out there. Yeah, this one is really, it depends on what you use it for, and then you need to constantly adjust its what is it called? I think it's called window size or something like that. Like the size of the grain you have to adjust based on the material. Yeah, so
Yes.
that is.
Okay, so is this possible to do in JS effects? The answer is I think so. Probably yes. Well,
Cool.
first of all, in terms of routing, it is trivial. I can always come here to the pins and I can send the delay channel to a different set of pins. And then all the effects that will be in the sandwich will be applied to those pins, to those channels. So that much is easy. Now, the hard part is the non-causality of things, because the effect at the end needs to send audio back to the effect at the beginning. And that is called non-causality, when you do something that it reverses the order of time. Now, in theory, it should work because JS effects have a shared buffer and effects can communicate using that. That's how both thing works. And many other effects do something like that. When one effect is collecting some data and putting it in the global buffer, and another one is reading from the global buffer. So that's fine. But usually, all the effects that I know that do this don't go against causality. They are always causal. So the effect in the beginning is maybe like measuring the loudness, and then the effect at the end is correcting the loudness. And yeah, it's always like that. So is it possible? Probably yes. I mean, the effect at the end can write to the buffer, and the effect in the beginning can read from the buffer. So that much I know. The only issue is timing. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know the guarantees about timing, because the effects in the middle may even have some delay. I mean, not in the audio effect delaying sense, but in the sense of plugin delay compensation. So they may introduce some latency. And I know that the blocks of audio are fed as blocks, not as individual samples. So you would have to do this writing and reading one block at a time. So I don't know how that would work, but I have two things to say about this. I think it will work even in terms of timing. And I'm also interested in this, but for a different reason. So let's explain first why I think it would work. Well, I think we have a great advantage. We are doing a delay. So maybe the blocks will be slightly delayed because of this non-causality, especially if there are plugins in the middle that are consuming some of the delay time. But I think that because we are a delay, if we can measure this latency, then we can compensate for that when we calculate the delay length. So I think it might work because of this. Now, the second reason is, the second thing I want to say about this is that I'm actually also interested in this non-causality kind of effect sandwich, but for a different reason. I want to be able to analyze some plugins that are written in JS effects, and I would like to use something like Plugin Doctor to be able to do that, to analyze things like the frequency response and maybe get an impulse response, that sort of thing. But the way it works, the way that Plugin Doctor works, is that it's a host itself. It's not a plugin. It's not a VST. It is a plugin host, and you have to load the plugin into Plugin Doctor. And Plugin Doctor also has this external mode in which it sends audio to some other device. You may even use Plugin Doctor, as far as I understand, to use on something like a piece of hardware. You can send audio out to that piece of hardware and record it back. So using that feature in Plugin Doctor, you can measure stuff in Reaper, including JS effects. You just send the audio to Reaper and get the audio from Reaper. But it's not ergonomic to do that. Not as ergonomic as using Plugin Doctor as a host anyway. So I was thinking, maybe the trivial things in Plugin Doctor, and when I say trivial, is like, it's not easy to do. It's just the bread and butter of Plugin Doctor is something like the frequency response of a plugin. Well, if I can have a sandwich of plugins in which the one at the end is going to say, okay, now measure so the one at the end would be the one that you would actually look at and control. So you would have a window that says like, analyze the frequency response. That one would send a signal back to the first plugin in the chain saying, okay, feed an impulse response into the chain now. And then I will read the result at the end and I will plot it. So
cool.
I mean, that's how Plugin Doctor works. What I'm saying is I want to kind of recreate Plugin Doctor in JS Effects because I think it can be useful because JS Effects are not VSTs, they cannot be loaded in Plugin Doctor unless you use the external hardware trick, or if the JSFX is really old and you are on Windows, you can use Re.js, part of Replugs. But
Yeah.
it's 5 years old at this point and only works on
Yeah.
Windows. So I think there is a
That would be
market for
great.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess, yeah, that would be like building on Bose Delta plugin, because Bose Delta plugin lets you hear the difference. And so I didn't know this about Plugin Doctor. So Plugin Doctor just kind of sends its own like dummy audio into the effect. I always thought you have to also provide the sound, but you
No,
don't provide the sound. You just
Plugin Doctor needs to control what sound is coming in because it needs to know what to do with the results. For instance, if you want to know the frequency response of something, you send an impulse, and then you will get an impulse response out, and then you use a Fourier transform to go from the impulse response, which is in the time domain, to the frequency response, of course, in the frequency domain. And if you want to do something like you want to measure the response of a compressor, you send a quiet signal and then you send a loud signal, one after the other, so you can see the knee of the gain reduction response. And if you want to analyze nonlinearities, or if you want to analyze something like if something is aliasing or not, you do a sign sweep. So Plugin Doctor needs to be in control of what sound is going into the effect to be effective. Okay, so I think it's possible. I'm also interested. You'll get there.
Cool. I was gonna buy Plugin Doctor this Black Friday. Not that there's a Black Friday sale, but cool. Then maybe I'll hold off and we'll get a free Plugin Doctor.
Well, I guess I will have to. I didn't, but I guess I will have to buy Plugin Doctor so I can better understand what it's doing, and maybe I will even write a JSFX that's just looking at all the inputs that are coming in and recording. Well, I don't need the JSFX for that because I can just record the track in Reaper, but I want to see what kinds of signals Plugin Doctor is sending, just kind of understanding how Plugin Doctor works and how it does its thing. But it's supposed to be straightforward. By the amount of the manual that I read, it's supposed to be straightforward. So we'll see. But also it's $25, so it's not a big deal. We can buy that.
Yeah, it's very fairly priced. Totally cool company.
Yes, and we have Bo here. Hey, Bo, great to have you. And Bo says, regular viewer checking in, regular streamers streaming. Are we talking plugins today? Well, yes, not quite, but yes,
you wish.
For now. Yeah. A Plugin Doctor in JSFX would be freaking awesome. I think it would be very educational to build that, so I'm looking forward to doing that. But I have so many other things to do first, like the performance of my library is atrocious, and I think I know why. So tomorrow on the stream, we'll be addressing performance issues in JSFX. It will be fun. And GEC says, yo, to which I respond with, hey. Thanks for being here with us. But let's talk about a website. Let's talk about your website. So this is what it looks like right now. And something that is definitely missing is your blog. So today we are going to finish the migration that we started. So I guess the agenda for today is to finish the migration. And it's almost there. It's like 90% there. And have a list of blog posts, right? When you go to like Reaper blog, you have a list of blog posts, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's what we need to build as well. And of course, there are other things here, but I think that's what we'll be able to accomplish today.
Cool. Will we be able to also set it up so that if I want to make a new blog, I can do that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah. The idea is that we are going to migrate everything that exists, and then there will be a folder structure. You can create new files in there, and each file is going to become a blog post. And we'll do this list of blog posts automatically so that it picks up all your posts and generates one of these pages automatically.
I made the list. Did I put it on GitHub is always the question. So I'll check on that while we...
Yes, that's the first thing I was going to ask. Can you please like commit and push everything that you created as part of your homework?
Oh, it seems like I've already pushed, and actually there's some stuff I need to pull. That's interesting.
Okay, yeah, that's reasonable because we have worked on the project since the last time you pushed.
Okay. So I guess I should pull first.
When you try to pull, so the operation goes like this. When you try to pull, if you worked on something after the last time you pulled, then it means that you have changes that are not on GitHub, and GitHub has changes that are not on your machine. So it's going to try to merge both branches or both code bases. And in most cases, it's able to do that automatically, so you don't have to worry about it. In some situations, both you and I have changed the same lines in the same files, and then you will have to solve the merge conflict.
Cool. No, there wasn't any merge conflict, so I am just putting this in our blogs, and it's a text file, but I'm just putting it in our blogs and tutorials. We can later delete it. Okay. And I did this via Finder. Should I have done it via Visual Studio Code because GitHub is not picking it up? Oh, it picked it up.
Yes, it doesn't matter how you create or change files. Not just GitHub Desktop, which is the tool that you are using, but Git is able to understand the changes just fine.
Cool. Pushed.
Okay. And on my side, I have to click on this button to synchronize changes. And I can also click on this Git graph button that is going to show me that, yes, I have the latest changes from you. So we can continue. I'm going to commit these changes, which are just the 2 lines saying what we have on the menu for today. And let's finish the migration first, right? This other file, we can look at it later. So
sure.
Let me go to the migration folder and the migration script. And this is what we have. So we already have HTML for all the posts. We collected this from the Wix website that you had before. And this is just, I downloaded the HTML. That's all there is to this. And then in this HTML, there is the content of your blog post, but there is also a lot of junk around. And that junk was like the layout of your website, of your old website. So to get rid of this, we wrote a little script that finds the region that contains your blog post. And that is also kind of full of junk as well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because I remembered you did that last time. I guess where it gets weird is when there's like bold, like where you are right now, line 858. That's like I can tell that's where it's like bold text.
Yep. Yeah. So
and stuff like that.
What's going on here is that there is a lot of HTML here in front of us. Some of this HTML is stuff that you care about, and some of this HTML is stuff that we don't. So let's make sense of this. For instance, this strong tag makes something bold. That's something that we want. We want to keep the formatting of your existing blog posts. Then there are things that we don't care about. For instance, there is this data hook thing. That is something for the Wix layout to do something to this paragraph. Maybe when you click on this paragraph, it's gonna do something to the web page. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know exactly why we have this data hook here. But this is stuff that we don't care about. So we can just leave the HTML as is. In fact, this you can see that this div is actually empty. It has no content. So this whole div is actually junk. And if we just have this on our new website, most of this is harmless. I mean, there is this data hook thing and we are not using it. So it's just dead weight. And it's fine. I mean, we looked at this actually and it looked fine.
Right, yeah, I remember. We looked at the page that it generated.
Yep. It generated a page that was okay. But it could be even better if we could strip out this junk. Now, of course, moving forward for your new blog post, you're not going to write junk. But for the existing ones, it could be nice if we could clean this up. And last time, we left this off when I tried to use a library, the same library that we are using to convert from Markdown to HTML. I was trying to use the library to convert from HTML to Markdown. And it wasn't perfect. It was okay. But it wasn't perfect. So we are working on this example blog post that is supposed to be simple, and then we are going to try a harder one. But it wasn't great. So let me run the migration script, and we'll see what it produces and what is not great about it. And then we'll talk about alternatives. I did a bit of research on some other libraries we can use. And we'll try one or two of them, and we'll see if we get better results. It shouldn't be too hard. So I need to go into the migration folder, and I need to run the migration script that generates a couple files under the blog folder, this file. So what is good about this? Well, it got rid of, for instance, the empty divs are no longer here. No divs inside. What is not good about this is that, for instance, the bold here is all messed up.
Yeah.
So not ideal. This was, so let's keep track of what we are doing and the outcomes. So this was Remark. That's the name of the library that we are using. It's messing up with bold text, for example. So not ideal. So because this was an ideal, 5 minutes before our call, I Googled for Node.js HTML to Markdown. See? And I found like 4 or 5 entries, and then I put these 4 or 5 packages on this website called npm trends. And what this does is just plot the number of downloads for each package over time. And this way I can see the most popular ones. And that's not always the best ones, but in many cases it is.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say Europa is my favorite moon. Let's use that, but it seems like nobody's using Europa.
Yeah. It seems very unpopular, but it may be good. So I guess we can try, let's try them in order. Let's try showdown, turn down, and then these other two are pretty much equivalent in terms of popularity, but I usually go by the number of downloads, the number of stars, and also when it was updated. Because if something hasn't been updated in 4 years, then it's probably abandoned at this point and may not be too good. In any case, sometimes these projects are good. You just have to dig deeper into the pile. Right, so in the migration folder, we are going to install all these 4 libraries. And I wish I could just copy and paste this, but I can't. So npm install showdown Europa.
By the way, I feel like we are like on the stream, we're not seeing a little bit of the bottom of your screen. Like what you're typing in now is not in the shot. Maybe you want to like move the window up like a tad. Actually, no, I lied. It's only on Skype where I'm looking that it's not visible. On the stream, it's visible.
Yes.
That's because Skype's thing is weird. All right, no worries. I'll live with that.
Okay. If there's something important that you're missing, Jen, then let me know. Cool. And I'll try to remember to show things that are important. All right, so we installed all these 4 libraries, and now let's go to the first one called Showdown, and it is actually a converter from Markdown to HTML and then back. Does both.
Cool.
And we already installed, so let's go to an example of how to use it. And we are going to change a couple things about this. Let's drop this around here. And syntax highlighting is not working well today. Okay. Usually syntax highlighting works, so when it's not working, it means that something was wrong. And I was missing the semicolon at the end of the line. Now, all of this seems good. This is our converter. And I guess what I'm going to do is comment this out. Create a converter. The text we already have. That's the text coming from the page. Oh, but this is going from Markdown to HTML. So can we have like the opposite?
Slightly above it, there was something.
This is
Node
showing how
browser.
to do that on the
Okay.
node or in the browser. And I don't see much. Let's see if there's something mentioning HTML. Well, there is a make HTML method on this converter. So let's see. Well, can you help me? Yes. So there is a make HTML. So it is straightforward that we can find a make markdown as well. And it's there. And we just have to give it a source. Convert
Cool.
HTML string into markdown. Awesome. So that's what we are going to use. Now I guess I'm going to put it later because this is the second one we are trying. So now instead of doing this, we are going to do that with what? With the contents of the part of the page that contain the blog post. So that. Now let's run the migration again. And there is an error. Let's see. Window is not defined. Okay. Window is something that you find in the browser, but not in Node.js. So maybe I was using the wrong snippet. Let's see. No, everything seems right. And the issue really seems to be in Showdown, not on our side. Right? Yeah, so it seems like this is broken. Let's go to the next one. Turn down. Okay.
Showdown, I think, was the one that was like updated 2 years ago last time.
Showdown was updated 2 years ago last time. You're right.
Yeah.
And turn down has been updated more recently. So
that's good.
Okay, so this one didn't work. Let's keep track of the outcomes. Error mentioning window. I mean, it probably works. We probably can get it to work since it's the most popular, the most downloaded library. We can probably get it to work if we push it hard enough, but let's try the next one. So for this one, let's copy and paste this part. And also this part goes down here. And that goes there. And this goes there. Okay, this one succeeded. So let's take a look at the markdown that it generated. Well, there is now some junk. Couldn't get rid of all the junk. But that's okay. I mean, if this same piece of junk appears everywhere, then we can probably get rid of it automatically from everywhere. So let's look at the rest of the page if it makes sense. I mean, it's not great. It's messing up with the paragraphs.
Yeah. I see paragraphs. I see. Well, we're not supposed to see if something is in italics, right?
If something is in italics, it is supposed to be marked with underscores, for instance, here.
Oh, cool. So that's good.
Yeah, so it seems
And
like
the
it messed up
links
with the
work.
Yes, the links work.
Cool.
Okay, so I would say that this result is actually better because the spacing here we can probably fix in some other way. But picking up the bolds and italics everywhere, that could be harder.
Yeah, exactly.
So a bit of junk and lost paragraphs. And then let's try this other one. Let's see. This has been updated recently, and it has TypeScript support, which is always a good indication. So
seems to be a newer one, I guess, because it's not as popular and it's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's see this usage situation. We'll have to adapt some things from there. Here it's using newer syntax called ECMAScript modules, and we don't have that enabled, so we have to translate this to older syntax using require instead. And if the library is compatible with, and it may not be because it's a newer library, if it is compatible with CommonJS, then we'll be able to use it. Otherwise, we may need to downgrade it or we won't be able to use it at all. We'll see. And there are lots of options that you can pass, but let's start simple. So this is the HTML we want to translate. And let's hope that everything else is optional so I don't need to pass them. Okay. And of course, I don't want a semicolon at the end of the line. And there you have it. Let's run the migration script. Okay, this one also succeeded. Let's see what it came up with. Okay, it is not producing the junk in the beginning.
Cool.
It is preserving some of the bold, but not all of it. This one was supposed to be bold, but it's glued to the rest of the paragraph. So I guess it's also missing the paragraphs, right? Because if it had paragraphs, then this would be bold. So it's missing the paragraphs. And
otherwise looks samey.
Yeah.
Links are correct. So maybe the paragraphs aren't being shown because like Wix uses a weird type of code or something?
I mean, it could be, but probably not. So let's open this file. It is the SWS snapshots. And let's find one situation where the thing got messed up, like merge window. Yeah, in fact, I don't see the end of a paragraph here. Well, there is the start of a paragraph, but not the end of a paragraph. So the markup is really, it is weird. Maybe judging by this code, I don't think that in the original site this was a new paragraph. Let's see.
When you say a new paragraph, do you mean because these will be like a itemized list? You know what I mean? So technically not a paragraph, but they are new lines.
Yeah. So this new line here in the source does not translate to a new line in the produced page. To have a new line there, I was expecting to see something like this, but it's not there. So now I want to see the page as it used to be on Wix. For that, we have on the README a link to a version of the website as it used to be. And I will go to blog, and I have to find this post called SWS snapshots, blah, blah, blah. I guess I can just copy and paste this.
What? Oh.
There you go. So the word that we were looking at was merge window. Oh, look at that. That is interesting. So one thing that Wix is doing is it's looking at the new lines in the source of the HTML to produce new lines here. That is not typical, and that's why it's possible to do that using CSS, but it's not typical to do that. It's not typical to look at the structure of the source and translate that over here. But it's something that Wix is doing, and that's what's messing up some of these markdown transformers, maybe all of them. I don't know. Yeah, but...
Because they both kind of screwed up the same thing. And it feels like it would be an easy thing to not screw up, like compared to like making links work correctly.
Yeah, so here is a trick that may or may not work, but I want to try it out. So we have this data hook description, blah, blah, blah. Let's start extracting this to some other place. Let's call this content. And then here we can replace actually all of these instances of this code with content, which makes everything nicer. But the reason why I'm doing this is that in the content, I'm going to query selector all the paragraphs. And for all of them, I am going to change the type of tag. I don't even know how to do that. I think I know how to do that. Here is just a quick hack. Okay, what the hell is going on here? I'm replacing all the paragraphs with a pre-tag. A pre-tag is, I guess, for pre-formatted. It's text that the HTML should look at the source to determine the line breaks and whatnot. It's useful for poetry. It's also useful for code. When you want to have something that follows a particular structure in the source, you want to present it like that. So what I'm doing is a trick. I am tricking all of these markdown converters into thinking that I need to preserve the structure. Now, is this going to work? I don't know. It may. Let's see. Okay. It finished instantaneously and I was waiting for it. Let me put you back there. So let's see what's up with this. Check this out.
Hey, wow, you fixed it with one line?
I fixed it with a hack.
That's a mic drop moment. Give me 1 second. I gotta put a chair up for my cat because she wants to sit next to me.
Sure thing. Meanwhile, I'm going to read what you all are saying. Was a bit distracted when you're talking about delays. Are you planning to code one? Yes. With pitch shift and stuff, kind of, but not exactly. Okay, so while Ari is gone, I'm going to explain this again. So the idea is that we would have one of those sandwich of effects. You have an effect in the beginning, then you have a bunch of effects in the middle, and then you have another instance of your effect at the end. And the trick is that this first effect is going to send the delay signal, a copy of the signal to be delayed, into the chain of effects in the middle of the sandwich, and then the last one is going to send the signal back into the first one. The reason why this would be nice is that you could put any of your VSTs, any kind of effects that you want in the delay chain. And that's usually something that you cannot do. You have a delay effect and it comes with a bunch of things that you can put in the delay path, but that's all. Like maybe you have a bit crusher, you have some kind of distortion, you have some, I don't know, you are limited to those options in the delay line. But if you use this other approach of having a sandwich of effects, you could put anything in the delayed path, and that could be nice. All right, so we are in a better position now. This is getting all the paragraphs right, so it means that it's also getting the bolds right. But I think there is something that will still go wrong here. The thing that will still go wrong is in Markdown, if you just put a new line at the end of a line here, it is going to treat this whole thing as one paragraph. So it's not going to respect the new lines as it should. So
when you say new paragraph, you mean like it'll put an extra like empty line between these two things?
It is not going to. That's the point.
Okay. You need to actually explicitly say like line break.
Let's see what the website looks like right now with this, and then I'm going to go over what we can do about it and what the issue even is in the first place. So I'm going to go out of the migration directory and I'm going to npm start so we see a new version of the website on my machine. Let's go to localhost.
Yes.
And
my cat is needy.
And over here, we'll try to find the place where I have the freaking URL. Here is the freaking URL. All right, so let's see. See, it's not putting new lines where it should. So what is the issue?
When it is putting new lines, like what does the code there look like? Like snapshots, filter options, and then below that there's a line break. There's like an explicit bit of code there.
Yeah, so the issue is we are telling Markdown, or we are telling the Markdown converter to treat a piece of paragraph as a pre-formatted thing. So it's going to look at the source of the HTML to determine the new line situation. And let's look at how this is working, for instance. So in this case here, it's fine because we actually have a new line, two new lines actually. We have an empty line in the middle. So that's going to translate into an empty line on the output as well. For instance, let's look for merge window. See, there is a new line here as well. But that's not always the case. When I think that what Wix is doing is it's looking at the way that you composed. So when you were writing this blog post on Wix, you put a new line. It just ended the line with an enter here, but on this one you put two enters. You have an empty line in the middle. So
yeah, is that bad, by the way? Should I be doing something now?
I don't care. It's fine. Do whatever you want. But yeah, so this line is going to translate into this line, and that's all good. Now, in Markdown, if you want to have a new paragraph, you put an empty line like this. See, when you look for merge window over here, it becomes a paragraph. I can even show you the source, and we'll see one of those closing and restarting tags that I was talking about. See, there's a closing tag here and a starting tag here. Like I said, the thing that I would expect to see for the end of a paragraph was something like this, ending a paragraph, starting a new one. In Markdown, if we want to have a new paragraph, you do something like this. And if you want to force a line break, so you can see here there are no line breaks. I wanted a line break like right there. I don't want necessarily a new paragraph, I just want a line break. If you want to do that, you put two spaces at the end of a line.
And then you hit enter.
Yes. So see, now there is a line break here. The difference is in the spacing. See, in our CSS, we put a bit of space between paragraph, but not between line breaks.
Line breaks.
So
which is how it should be.
So yeah, that's my question. Do you want this to be a line break or do you want it to be a paragraph?
No, I guess I want it to be just a line break. Like they're just kind of like an itemized list with a little bit of explanation.
Okay. So in that case, I think that what we want is to put 2 spaces at the end of every line, right? So let's go ahead and do exactly that. In our migration script, we are going to find the place where I have my transformation. So this is the place where I'm doing the transformation to transform everything into pre-tags. So I'm going to take the opportunity to take this inner HTML and replace every new line with space new line. I'm going to replace all of them. Now we run the migration script again, and that produces some new HTML that is now being converted. And then let's look at what was produced. So what is produced, it looks almost exactly the same, except that when I select everything, can you see the 2 dots here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means that there are 2 spaces at the end of every line now. Not just that one that I created by hand, but every line, because the conversion script did this.
Awesome.
And on the page, when I refresh, it means that now the new lines are there.
Woo, yeah, that looks great.
And I think that we nailed this, right?
I think you nailed it, yes.
Yeah. So there are two things that we probably want to do, like this last thing. This last thing, we probably want this to be out of here and into a template of some kind, right?
Yeah, and also you see where it says like here's the video right above the image. There's like an embedded video link there, so stuff like that may have not made it. So when it's a text and there's like an embedded link in the text, that works. But yeah, there would have been a link there and like an embed link there, and maybe some of that stuff has been eaten up. But if it's stuff like that, I can also manually do it. It's not a biggie.
Come on, how did you write this here?
Here is the video.
Come on.
Or just say the video.
Okay, here is the video.
TV?
And let's see what Wix has for us on this part. I don't think that it was here in the source to begin with. I think it was something dynamic that it would need JavaScript to actually see the video. And we just downloaded the HTML, we didn't run the JavaScript. So maybe this is something that we'll have to migrate by hand, unless we can find a link to the video. Oh, here it is. No, this is to join the channel.
No, that's something else, yeah. Yeah, I was looking for the video link too, but I did not see it. Also, I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot and I forgot to put that video in this blog, and that's why there's nothing.
Let's see. No. It says here's the video and there is something there. Let's see what Wix put in place here. So one of the I said that there was a lot of junk in here, and some of this junk is to hook something so that Wix knows that it needs to put a player there. But it is not doing that with markup. I can prove that to you by disabling JavaScript. How do I disable JavaScript in Chrome? I know how to do that in Safari, so maybe I'll jump there for a moment. Disable, no, this is for the debugger. Anything that I can do over here? Or maybe I can just Google this real quick. Chrome disable JavaScript. press Ctrl-Shift-P to open the command menu. Disable JavaScript. Okay. I mean, isn't that the debugger option that I was trying to avoid? Well, let's try this. If I refresh the page without JavaScript. Yeah, so see, this is what people who have the JavaScript disabled actually see on your web page. And by people who have JavaScript disabled, I mean people who are concerned with their privacy and security and don't want to run JavaScript because JavaScript is used for tracking and that sort of thing. But also screen readers for people who have some sort of difficulty seeing, and Google. And yeah, all these people are seeing this. So you can see that Wix is optimizing the image by showing you a lower resolution version, which is blurred. And then it's going to load the real image using JavaScript. And
interesting.
Over there
So,
in the video.
So people who like have JavaScript disabled, they just see like the image is blurry?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because
and then they just don't see this video.
They just don't see the video. There's just an empty space here. And the way that we downloaded the HTML, we downloaded as Google, a screen reader, or someone who has JavaScript disabled sees the page. Which is good because most of the material is here, I guess, and even the images are here. So maybe the only thing missing is the videos, but we can write a quick script to get just the video part of the blog posts.
Cool.
We still have
I can
access
also
to this.
do that manually. Like it's not, it's something I did rather recently. So maybe it's like 30 blogs that I need to update. Not a huge deal.
Okay. We'll see. If we can get something to work, we'll get something to work. We'll see.
Cool.
But let me enable JavaScript again. Okay. It's enabled again. And even if I have the console open.
If it helps also, usually like in the first line of every blog, I also have something saying like in this episode or something, and then that's a link to the video as well. So if that helps.
That helps, yes. We can just get a hold of the first link and convert that into a video for YouTube kind of thing. Okay. So let me catch up with what you are saying. Latest Reaper update version 38 is available with the following updates. Loudness meter, blah, blah, blah.
Ooh.
Yeah, this was a Reaper Mania video, and I watched that, and I was like, oh my god, really? Why are you telling people to do this? This is such a convoluted way of doing automation. And
I tried it, and it didn't work. So I don't know if I messed something up, but I went and rewatched the tutorial, and I hadn't done anything wrong. It just didn't work.
I mean, it is possible to do all these tricks in Reaper, and it's good that it's possible to do all these tricks, but man, I mean, it's such a hack. Why? Just why? I mean, just because it's possible, but why? And I think that with the loudness meter fixed, it's going to be a lot better because the loudness meter is going to just output the data that you want to have in the automation track.
Right, yeah, you don't need to do the automation item thing, which like if you're running that on like 8 tracks, and you can't really macro that stuff, like you got to make a razor edit area, then clear the middle, it's a whole thing. I tried it. I was like, oh, I should make a custom action for this because I like to piggyback on Kenny's popular videos, but no, it was fucking impossible.
Yeah. All right, so what are we still missing? We are, well, with this last guy, we got good results, but maybe we would have gotten better results with the previous ones if we had done this whole pre-thing, the pre-tag thing. But in any case, this guy has good results. And I guess even the remark one that was messing up the bold text, probably it was messing up the bold text because of the line break that was missing. Yeah, so maybe the thing, we were feeding junk to the thing to begin with. right? So maybe that's why it was doing bad. But I think that this
wasn't their fault.
Yeah, I think that this is shaping up nicely. So let's commit preventively. Let's commit what we have, not on the bio or the blog or just the migration folder. Let's commit what we have on the migration folder, also on the README. This way I won't feel bad to just delete everything if necessary. One thing that could also be nice is I have this thing called Prettier. And what Prettier does is it formats the code, and I usually use it for JavaScript. So if I have some indentation that is wonky, it fixes that for me. But also, it works in Markdown. So I can run Prettier on this, and it may reveal some things that are wrong, that may be wrong with the source. For instance, this space looks wonky. Was it there before? Yes, it was there before. But
yeah, remember we talked about like line breaks and paragraphs, and it turned out that I've been doing it wrong all my life. And it's such a muscle memory thing. I don't know if I'll remember to correct this, but I'm trying to stay cognizant of it.
But the cool thing is that on this one, it's not fixing. Prettier is not fixing this. I think it may have to do with the fact that we have new lines here. We have spaces here for the new line trick. But on this one, for instance, this one also there is a space here, and when I run Prettier, it gets rid of that space. And here we have two new lines, and it's getting rid of one of these new lines. So it cleans things up nicely, I think. Nice. And I think it may even help you learn Markdown as you go.
Cool. I think I have Prettier on the old Visual Studio Code.
Yes, there is a Visual Studio Code extension for Prettier. So when you're writing your posts in Visual Studio Code, you can hit Option-Shift-F to run Prettier. But we can, in the migration, run Prettier as a step in the migration as well. And I think that may be advantageous for getting rid of even more junk. So how about we install Prettier? I'm running npm install Prettier on the migration folder. And I'm going to require Prettier. And before I actually print, so I am doing the HTML to Markdown conversion. And then I'm going to Prettier dot. Can you please help me? Can you autocomplete for me? Can you not autocomplete for me? Oh, I think it's a function. Yeah, is it a function? Do I have to go to the Prettier documentation?
Opinionated code formatter.
Usage API. Prettier.format. Source and then options. Okay, so Prettier.format, and now you help me. Thank you. What do you want to format? This whole thing, which is the generated Markdown, and I want some options. I want to say what the parser should be. And I want some kind of Markdown parser. And then let's run the migration script again. Oh no, I installed Prettier again. That's silly. Let's run the migration script again. And then what comes out is already formatted with Prettier. See, it is prettified already.
Woo.
And is Prettier smart enough to keep the new lines at the end? Yes, we have two spaces at the end to preserve the new lines. So this is what the blog post looks like now with Prettier in place.
That's Lovely. Yeah.
Looks good.
Hmm.
Of course, there are still ways to improve this, but I think we reached a place where it is quite nice.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, let's again do one of those prophylactic commits. How do I do that? Okay, here. And everything in the migration folder. Oh no, something changed on this file. Okay. And what else do we want to have? The video, the link for the video. Yeah, let's try to fix that. And then I think we'll have reached a point where everything else you can do by hand.
Cool.
Which is like mostly just going over all these pages. And if you see something that doesn't look right, you go to the source and you fix it in whatever way is necessary. So let's look again at the source for this and see if there is something that we can find in the code to mean this is where Wix would run some JavaScript to load the video.
Mm-hmm.
So there is some media situation that is probably about the image that is a placeholder.
Yeah. Those are the links at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to copy a chunk of this and I'm going to put it on a new buffer that is in HTML mode, and I'm going to run prettier on this. Oh, I don't want any PHP stuff. I want it on HTML mode, and I'm going to run prettier on this in the hopes that this is going to format things more nicely. Yes. Now we can actually read what's going on. So maybe this viewer stuff. Oh, there is a video thing.
Cool.
And what else? There is
some text justification stuff at the bottom there. It could be related to that. Like the image goes on your left and then all the text is like on the right of that. Could that be some of what we're seeing?
I don't know. Well, there is this empty line thing. So I think that past this point, it's all about what was below. Like there was an image and buy me a coffee stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that this is already past the point where we could get any sort of information. I mean, let's look at what is this image.
That may be the buymeacoffee.com.
It is.
Yeah.
So that proves the point that after this, there is nothing of interest. So we are pretty much just working with this. And we have this viewer. And yeah, no, I think that the only thing we can go by is this much. Right? Let's look again at the source if there is any other thing that has a type video kind of situation. No, it's the only one. So I think we can work with that. Let's go again to where we are transforming the source. We are massaging the source before we feed it into the markdown converter. So it is this block over here. So we have some more massaging to do. For each element of... Oh no, I'm putting this in so much the wrong place. It's not there. It is over here. So for element of content query selector. So we are only going to do this once. I'm not going to use query selector all. Well, I guess I am. Query selector all. And I'm looking for something that has a type equals video. And And I want to take this element, take its outer HTML, just entirely wipe it out. And instead, I'm going to have to put something in here. What do I put? I guess I'm going to go to YouTube and grab an embed tag. And how about I embed ourselves?
Meta.
So how do I do this? Share, embed. And, oh, you know what? You know what? I have another idea. I could copy this iframe. That would work, right? I think I'm going to do something else that is much more interesting.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this in steps. Let's say that instead of having this tag saying video, we'll have a paragraph that says, this is where the video would have been. But I also, and that's I guess the most important part, I need to know which video you are embedding. And unfortunately, at the source, we don't have any information. We don't know which video.
Yeah, how did they pull that off?
They have something in the JavaScript. They generated some JavaScript that is going to look at this data hook. And in the JavaScript, it will know that block 16 refers to video XYZ.
Are they just trying to be annoying? Like, why do they do the hard way around the planet?
I have two explanations for this. Okay. The first is they're trying to make everything super blazing fast and snappy. So you get to see the page as fast as you can, and then there will be a blurred version of the image, and then it will scale up to the real image using JavaScript, and that's all snazzy and modern. But the reality is that your browser will have to first load a blurred version of the image, which is more data to load. It has to load the JavaScript. It has to run the JavaScript. All of this takes time. So by the time you have run the JavaScript, the original image may have been downloaded already if you just put a goddamn image tag in there. So I'm fine with optimizing stuff, but I mean, it pisses the hell out of me that, let me go to Safari where I know how to disable JavaScript globally. So now JavaScript is disabled. Now suppose that you go to my website. See? Everything just works. Suppose that you go to my other website, this website. It mostly works. You cannot play. You cannot. You don't see the tooltips that would show like Apple Podcasts and whatnot. You cannot play the podcast, but you can download it. The player is JavaScript, but the downloader is not. You can just click on this and download it. Okay, so that works. Now go to Instagram. Instagram, what is Instagram? It's a gallery of images. And this is what it looks like without JavaScript. No, it's not loading. This is it. This is the website. This is Instagram. Isn't this freaking annoying? It's just a freaking gallery of images. Why would you need JavaScript and so much JavaScript for this? I just hate it.
And is that because they are tracking and data mining? Is that part of the...
There are many reasons. They are using libraries that need JavaScript on the client side. They are trying to be all snazzy with the image loading and loading it on the background like Wix was doing. But mainly, it's just annoying. It's the way that people are overcomplicating the web platform. Okay, close rant. The platform is so beautiful. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is such a simple concept, and people tend to just overcomplicate things. It annoys me so much. Okay, but the trick that you said we could try to use was to look at the first link on the page. So for instance, on this page, in this episode, the this episode thing is a link to YouTube. So we can grab onto that. Let's go to the content and get its link. And let's get the href for that. Let's see if this will work. I will run the migration script. And let's go to the markdown that's generated for that. Yeah, okay. We got the YouTube link. Now, let's... yeah, fine. I think that this is okay. So, okay, I'm gonna do a trick now. Instead of saying this is where the video would have been, I'm going to create a custom tag. I'm gonna call this tag the YouTube tag.
Cool.
This tag doesn't exist, of course, we are creating it. And for the URL, I'm going to put this. Let's see how this is going to work out with the migration. Oh, it's wiped out. So I don't know who is wiping this out in the process of migrating the HTML. Okay, I will complicate this just a tiny bit. Oh, I know an issue. I forgot to do it like this. That's an issue. Let's give this a second try.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's wiping that out. But what if we have just a link or maybe a div like so? Is it going to wipe that out now? Yes, it is wiping that out. How about we have... no, at this point, I think I want to know who is wiping this out. I think I moved you out of the way.
Sure,
without even noticing.
Get me out of there.
So let's try to understand who is wiping that out. Well, I guess it is kind of junk, so this is wiping that out, I suppose. What would be preserved? I don't know what would be preserved. I'm going to interact with this HTML to Markdown converter that I have going on, and it's right behind of me, isn't it? So how about I just get this window out of the way and move this there.
Beautiful.
So if I have any kind of div, it is going to take it out. And if I have a class there, it's going to take it out. So maybe there are some options for this library that allow me to say like, preserve this, please. I think I see something. No. Custom translators, that's what I was seeing. Custom code block translator. How does that work? We could say that, yeah, preserve this. Oh, there is no documentation for this. Come on. No, this is gonna get too complicated. It's just trying to find a way to say, okay, keep this much. But okay, I'm going to do something else instead. Instead of trying to do a tag kind of thing, I am going to do another trick, which is also cool. I'm going to use what I want is to preserve this URL in a way that we can find it later in the translation process, right? So I'm going to apply a trick that is not super commonly used, but it is cool. The trick is I'm going to surround this with characters that I'm sure you have never used in any of your blog posts.
Yeah,
have you ever used the
definitely not.
losange?
No.
Okay, I thought as much. So now this is treated as text. It's a character that you could have written. So when I run the migration now, it is going to preserve that.
Cool.
See, there it is.
Beautiful.
But I actually want to have a YouTube tag. So I'm going to create it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first translate the markdown to translate the HTML to markdown. So let's go this step by step. So I'm going to parse the HTML that is the file we got from Wix. Then I'm going to get the document. Then I am going to do some massaging, like the pre-tag that we did, and then this much that we are doing to get a hold of the video embeds. And then finally, I am going to say that I have some markdown that I want to translate. So I'll say that the markdown is this guy. Then but by this point, okay, so no, the markdown, the HTML to convert is this. Then the markdown is that. Then I need to pass the HTML to convert to that. And then I will prettify. I guess I will prettify the clean markdown. Why am I doing all this? I forget. I lost track of what I was doing.
You wanted to make a YouTube tag, and you wanted it not to be stripped by our markdown converter.
Okay, so I get a hold of the content, and then I replace the occurrence of that weird tag with some text that will be preserved through the translation. Then I actually do the translation. Okay. I'll also grab this whole prettier stuff and I will put it here like this. So now I did the translation. Okay. So now at this point, I guess I'm going to say that this is a variable that I can change. So now at this point, the markdown, and then at the end, I will output the markdown. But the reason why I wanted to extract this was so that I could play around with the markdown before we spit it out. So I'm going to say that the markdown is equal to markdown replace all. Not replace all. In this case, I don't need to do that. I can just do it with regular expressions. So I'm going to have a replacement of these little guys. And then in here, I will have just anything at all. And I want this. No, I'm writing regular expressions now, so things get really weird. But what I'm doing is this /s mean regular expression. So everything that is in here is a regular expression. The regular expression is pretty much like a Lua pattern, but more sophisticated. For those who know Reaper scripts, It's a Lua pattern, but more sophisticated. Then I'm putting the weird character that I put in place to delimit the URL. That's the character that I'm looking for. This is the anchor that is going to tell me this is where your link is. Then I am getting everything in between, and I'm replacing the whole thing, and then I'm going to replace this using a function that will get that URL, and it's going to output the YouTube tag with a URL of URL. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this in this way is so that I'm not doing this in the original HTML. I am passing it through the Markdown converter first, and I'm passing it through the Markdown converter in a way that the Markdown converter preserves. And then I do the transformation in the generated Markdown.
Okay.
That was a lot of handstanding, but I think it will work out. Let's run the migration script again and look at the generated Markdown. See?
Cool.
Now it's there. But this is not a tag that any browser would recognize, right? So
why is that YouTube red? Does that like mean anything?
it means that it's a tag that the browser doesn't know about. So if you have div, it highlights in blue, but if you have diva, it highlights in yellow, in red, to say I don't recognize this tag.
Okay.
Okay, so this is just the migration, and now I have this tag here. In fact, I may not need this, but I'm not sure. So we'll try it out. Okay, so now I have this tag here. Why do I want to have this tag here? Well, I want to change the way that we are creating the HTML based on the Markdown. So let's go to our index.js script, which is our static website generator. And okay, so the page is this, the result of calling the layout and everything. And I think I'm gonna use JS DOM here to parse that generated HTML. And over here, I'll say page dot. So maybe I'll call this the DOM page dot serialize.
Hey, serialize.
I need to import JS DOM. Why is serialize nice?
I don't know. It's something I see in Reaper, so I'm like,
Serialize is when you have some sort of data structure, like we have the DOM. When I say the DOM, I just mean in a web page, there are all these tags that form a tree. And the DOM is a tree representation of this, not text, but a tree representation. So it is an internal data structure that is aware of when a tag starts and ends, as opposed to just reading this as text. In the text representation, it just is a less than sign, H, E, A, D, and greater than sign, and so forth. But when you have a DOM thing, it knows that this is a tag. It has parsed the data structure. Serialization is turning that representation into text again. Or not necessarily into text, but into a format that you can put on the wire or you can save to disk. It's not just the memory representation of what the thing looks like. Roughly, that's what it means. So we have this DOM now that we can serialize, but we can have also a hold of the document, which is the DOM window document, and then we can play around with the document. For instance, we can say for for const element of document query selector all YouTube, we can element outer HTML equals to, let's get the embed tag, copy, and paste. And did I import the HTML library? Yes. So now I can just change this URL. So now we need to get a hold of this identifier, right? We'll do that.
It's interesting that the embed link is like in the domain name or in the URL. There's also an embed, as if that's a different thing to the video. That's interesting to me.
Sorry, say that again.
So in the URL of the YouTube, it's youtube.com/embed. I didn't know that's like its own URL.
Oh yeah, it's a different URL because on this one there is just a video and no frames around anything.
Ah, okay.
So now we need to get a hold of this identifier, and we know where it is. It is at the element.get attribute of URL because we put it in the URL attribute. But we still have to get this. So are you absolutely sure that you always use this kind of URL?
I can make sure that I do that from now on. Right now, but yeah, I think because usually I make the video, I go get shareable link, you get this. But yeah, I wouldn't guarantee it that I've done it up to this point. I'll do it from now, and I'll manually fix whatever I didn't do it like this.
Okay, so maybe we can pretend that this is always the case, and we can slice on this length, and let's run the migration script again, and then it's going to just output the identifier. So maybe let's not call this the URL, but the ID.
Video
maybe?
tag or video ID. Yeah.
ID has a special meaning in HTML.
What about a video ID, vid ID, something like that?
Something like that. I don't know. Even ID, I guess, is okay. It doesn't matter.
Cool.
I don't think it matters. We'll see. If it matters, then we'll fix it. Okay, so I don't know why it's insisting on doing this to this tag. You know what? Yes, I want it to be like this. Let's run the migration script. Then we just have the ID for the video. Oh, it's still called URL because I fixed it in the wrong location. And then all of that looks good. There you go. And then here we know that there is this YouTube tag, and we just get the attribute called ID. So now let's run the website generator. And let's go to the HTML that was generated by us. Here is the video, and then bam, we transformed that YouTube tag that you may put on your Markdown. We created a custom tag for you, Arya, just for you.
Nice.
This is a URL that does not exist on the browser, but in our static website generator, we know that we need to transform the YouTube tag into the iframe tag that YouTube likes, and then we output that iframe tag.
Sick.
Now,
so when I want to, like, when I do this to a new blog, I still get the whole link, right? Because I could have also manually just gotten the last bit of the link. But we're not doing that. I'm just going get shareable link, make sure it's
Yeah, if you want to
u2.be.
embed, if you want to embed any video, you just go to the page for that video, you get the identifier, and you create one of these tags and you paste it there.
Ah, gorgeous. Lovely. That's awesome.
Yeah, so you just paste it there, and then your website generator will know that it needs to transform the YouTube tag into the iframe. Now, why is this cool? For two reasons. First, you have to type less. But second, and most importantly, if we want, we have control over all the iframes on the website in one place. So if we say that, oh, we want to change the size, we want to change the title, we want to change something like, there are options here that we can use to make the embed red or white or, you know what I mean? We have options to configure the iframe, and we can do that in a centralized location. That I think is super cool.
Yeah.
And let's see what it looks like on the page. When I refresh, there is a YouTube embed.
Lovely.
And it does not look good.
Oh, how come? It seems to be cropping the old whatchamacallit, the thumbnail.
It is, and it's doing weirder things. The bottom of the page was supposed to have all of this information, but it's not there.
It's gone? Oh.
Yeah. So I think there is something else happening. I think that this tag is being interpreted as wrapping around this whole thing, so it's getting rid of that whole thing. So maybe I will put this put this slash at the end, which will
you moved the markdown function as well. Would that have something to do with it? It used to be on the bottom of all that stuff. I think
on this file.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. What's the problem is this slash. That means the tag is not over yet, so the browser or JS DOM is going to think that it needs to wrap around this whole thing, and it's going to get rid of all that. But I think that just by having this slash here, it fixes that. In fact, when I refresh the page now, I was expecting to have a better result. I was expecting to see the content there, but it's not there. So you see, it's wrapping the content and it's getting rid of that. Let me run the migration script just to make sure. So it is generating a fresh page and the content is not there. So somewhere in the middle, I guess it's the same issue as before, right? Someone in the middle of this chain is eating up this tag. And it could be the markdown to HTML converter.
So here's my question also. Since the bit being eaten up is the one that we want to kind of make a template, we could also do that, no? We could like let it eat that. We do this and then we like merge it with the temp. I mean, I don't know exactly though how that stuff works, but like if that code is added after the page is automatically generated, then it can't eat it up. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think that the way we are going to solve this is going to be similar to that. But okay, so I have now a YouTube tag that is not self-closing. And now that works. Awesome. So yeah, the way that you write this tag needs to be this way so that no one in the chain is going to eat this up. And there you go. I wanted to show how to create a custom tag like this. I wanted to show, because there are many static website generators that have this custom tag support. And I wanted to show how easy it is to do it with our static website generator. All we got to do is just query selector all, and then you can do whatever you want with the tag, like so. So let's commit some of what we have here. all of this has been generated and we don't care about it, but the stuff in the migration script we care about, and the stuff in the index HTML we care about. And that's all that we care about for now. Alrighty, so we have the YouTube tag, but it doesn't look good. So we need to style this to look good. What can we do?
Can we make it so that... no, never mind.
So there's something weird going on here. Oh, I think I know. We are trying to apply these styles. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. And what if we resize the window? It needs to go along. So the problem is some CSS that we wrote, actually.
Yeah, on my real page, I also, when I put the stuff up, the size is like a little wonky.
Fair. So let's change this so that we still have the border radius, that much we want, but let's not apply this. Or maybe let's see if we can interact with this and figure it out. Oh, is that all we need?
Just make the height not auto, I guess.
Yeah. And how does it resize? It resizes badly, but not terribly.
Right. I mean, if you have a... Oh, I see. Yeah. I think on the old... Let's see. I want to go on the Wix blog. I think there, as the size changes, the thumbnail gets smaller, but in ours, just the window gets smaller. It's like not a huge deal to me at all.
Yeah, because the person is just going to see a thumbnail. It's going to see a little red play button. They're going to play. And on mobile, when you play, it is going to give you an option to go through screen, I think. We have to test this, but I think it will work. Okay, so I think that if we just have this, then it is going to work. Let's refresh. See, now it is nice. And how does it resize? It resizes okay. All the important bits are here. And if we have a small screen and we hit play, then it puts a letterbox. So it's completely watchable. It's completely watchable. And you can even, of course, go through screen on mobile.
Yeah, and I think actually in mobile, like if you have the Reaper, or not the Reaper, the YouTube app installed, it'll just like switch to that, at least on Android.
Fair. Okay. All right. So I think that about concludes the fix for the YouTube embeds. It is good enough. We can definitely make it better and iterate on this in the future, but we have a migration script that mostly works. So, do you want to run this for everything?
Let's go for it.
All right. So to run this for everything, we are going to come to the migration script. Well, first of all, we are going to delete all the changes that we currently have. Discard everything. Then we are going to go to the migration script and we have to comment some things out and uncomment some other things. So this images is fine. This redirects needs to be different. Okay. We need the redirects from the file and not these ones. And one last check. Alrighty, so now I'm running the migration script for everything you have ever written. It will take a while. It will take a moment or two to finish. And
that is fair.
It is a lot of work to do, but we can watch the progress and we can see how well it's doing. Oh, I think I remember something that I wanted to fix. So cancel. We are not done yet.
Can you cancel a running process? I guess you can.
Yes, you do that by hitting Control-C, even on a Mac.
Ah.
It's not Command-C. It's Control-C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the thing that I want to fix is there are some images that are like the header on the old layout. And right now our
they're
script,
in every blog.
Yes, right now and we don't even use that image. But right now on our script, we are copying that image to every blog folder. Every blog post is a folder, and we are copying that image over and over, lots of copies of the same image for no good reason. We don't need that. So I want to fix that before we have lots of copies of redundant images. So I'm going to revert these changes. So we are back to working with only one blog post. And I'm going to read this. So we have the migration HTML. Okay, I think there is an easy fix. Right now we are running this bit. This little chunk is doing the conversion of the images. And right now I'm running this on the raw file as I get it from the file system, which includes the whole page, including the layout. Well, to do this with just the part that we care about, we already have just the part that we care about. It's the content. So I can just go ahead and do that. And it's still going to copy one image everywhere, which is the Buy Me a Coffee image. But that one, we can maybe just special case it because we know it's that image. So we'll see.
Right.
Yeah, so let's see how this script works. We have a so migration HTML. I guess we want to ensure the two. Right before we run this, okay. So I guess I'll copy this down. Okay. So in other words, the script goes like this. You read the file from the file system, including all the layout around. That is our that is our migration HTML. Then you immediately parse that. And we are not going to use migration HTML anymore. So I think I'm going to do it like this. So we just get the document and we get the content, and we don't need the document anymore for anything else, do we? We do need it to get the title. So I'm going to keep it around. The document, and then we get the content, and then we do some transformations to the content to fix things up. And then we convert the content to Markdown, and then we write the Markdown to file. Now there's one more thing that I want to do, which is the image transformation. And I guess I'm going to do it before I convert to Markdown. So that is creating the directory. And then for image of images, where is images coming from? It is one variable that we have defined here. I guess I'm going to do this to the generated Markdown, actually. Yeah, I think I'm going to do this at this point. Then the name of the image, and instead of using the migration HTML, I'm just going to use Markdown. Okay, that sounds about right. So let's run the migration script and check what is in the migration folder, this folder. So the Buy Me a Coffee is there, but everything else should belong to the blog post. There should be no templating thing. See, that looks about right. So I guess we can special case this Buy Me a Coffee thing. How about that? So
Sure.
we'll check if it's h.png, then don't copy it. So here
Exactly.
for the images, if the markdown includes the image and image, well, if the name of the image is different from h,
.png.
I don't think there is a .png at the end. No, yes, there is. It is there. So h.png.
Forget about it.
Yeah, if the markdown includes the image and the name is not a h.png, then copy it over. And I remember actually now something that we did wrong before, and I think I'm going to fix that. So I'm going to commit what we have for now, and I'm going to delete the blog folder. And I'm going to search
How do
for
you
something.
remember this stuff? It's crazy.
I remember that we did a conversion of a .jpeg.
Yeah.
That
You
file.
had that one special
So we
case.
changed that in the file, in the images.json file, but we didn't change it on the raw HTML that was using that. So that conversion, I think, will fail, right?
Uh-huh.
I think it will.
But since JPEG and JPG are like interchangeable, if we just manually rename that to JPG, will that not solve all our problems? And then we can get rid of...
That's what we did. We renamed the file and we renamed it here on images.json, but we didn't rename it on the sources that could be using that.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's going to try to look for this string, but the string will not be there.
Gotcha.
In particular, this string will exist. So there you go. That is the file that is the offending one. We need to rename this as well. And that's the fix. How do I remember this? Because I remember, I was thinking about what we did after the stream, and then I was like, oh, we did this wrong. And then I forgot about it, but now I remembered again. So I don't know. But yeah, let's run the migration script, and it should copy all the images except for h.png. It should not be there, and it's not there. So all of these images have to do with that blog post. Awesome. Now I think we are ready to run the migration script on everything. To do that, I go here and I uncomment this and I comment that and I run the migration script. Now that one is going to be slow. So while that is running, we are going to start thinking about how we want to come up with a list of blog posts. Well, we need to go into the blog folder. We need to look at all the folders that exist in there, and we need to generate a list. Right?
Yeah, I made a list, but that's... I don't know if that will work.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I don't think that you need to have this list. I think that we can generate the list from the folder structure, but there is an error in one of the scripts. So we'll go back to the migration script and we'll find this place. This is null, so we need to check this. We need to check this. So if, well, I guess I'll have a block of code at this point. And I'll say that it's called link and that it's that. And if link is null, continue, which makes JavaScript skip this line and link href. Now I'm going to delete the blog folder and I'm going to run the migration script again. And I'm pretty sure that other things will fail. And we had a script that we thought would be difficult, so we could look at that one in particular to see what our migration did to that. Right?
I guess when we said difficult, meaning that it had like embedded links and it had images and it had GIFs and it had but I think like your migrate script, the one that we were using as a test, basically just didn't have GIFs. It had everything else.
Okay.
So I think it should be all right.
Yeah, we can look at some of them later, but there is another bug in the migration script. Let's see. I think that what is here is stuff that I'd like to keep. But let's see what is failing. It is complaining that this file does not exist. Right? Oh, get out of the way. Okay, thanks. No such file as that or directory. And I think that this is going to be the last one. I think I know who this guy is. Where is this? Where is this? Redirects. Yes, decluttering big projects, blah, blah, blah. So this is the last one, and it is one that we added manually, remember? We added this line. So we added this line manually, and it means that we didn't download the HTML for this. We just put this here on the redirects thing. And we have already generated all the redirects. I mean, if I go on the top level to the post thing and the redirects files have already been generated. So yeah, I think that at this point, let me see how this is being used. Yeah, okay, I will have a copy of this file for migration because I want to keep the redirects as they are. I don't want to touch them. So I'm going to duplicate this file, and this copy is going to be the, I don't know, migration JSON. But in this one, I will not have that last line. So it doesn't try to migrate that because we don't have the HTML for that. So that one you are going to have to create by hand.
Okay, easy.
And I have to come here to the migration, and the redirects file should actually look at migration.json. And I don't think I need to bother with changing this variable name, but I can now just run the migration script again. But first I'm going to remove the blog folder. Run migrate.js, and we can wait a little for this to finish. Meanwhile, while that is running, we can already start peeking at what the markdown looks like in some of these.
Cool.
Like, see if there is anything like offending about this. Yes, this is not good. It should be a link probably.
Oh yeah, when it's a downloadable like zip file, did we even do something with those?
I think that needs to be a special case. The same way that the YouTube thing was a special case.
Yeah, I mean that's literally like 10 things or something similar, so that is not an issue.
Yeah, so it seems like the YouTube thing it didn't work very well because it is the first link on this page was not to the video.
Oh, buddy. Yep, I knew that. I knew that'll happen at some point. Like I probably have screwed up a few things.
Yeah.
But also if I then go and like add that in this episode, I would be able to, or I
Yeah,
can just like manually edit 2 text fields, right? Like
yeah,
those
you can
are
just come here.
out of it.
Yeah, and I think you have to revisit all these markdown files anyway to get rid of this at the end. Unless
Uh-huh.
you have been very careful to write this exactly the same way in every file. In that case, we can do a global search and replace.
It has changed over time. That's the thing. Like I didn't have a GitHub repository back in the day, and I didn't used to share my Instagram and stuff like that. So it
Okay.
has changed over time. Yeah, I mean, honestly, since this did like what 95% of the work, from this point it'll take me like an hour or two to go and manually change whatever.
I'm taking notes of things that you have to remember to do. So you have to
Thanks.
review migration. You have to get rid of the buy me a coffee at the end. I don't know how they style the name of this company.
Just all I think all together.
Yeah. Okay. But the migration is over.
And I gotta do the zip files. So how do I do that, by the way? If there's a zip file people have to download with Markdown, how does that work? Or do I have to upload it on like Drive and then Markdown link to it, like download here?
Yeah, there are a couple options. Are these zips very small or are they huge?
They tend to be quite small. They tend to be like a few actions, a few Reaper configurations, etc. So one of them, I know that's my Reaper configuration, is like a lot. That one's big. That one's like 200 megabytes or something, but everything else is literally under a megabyte.
Okay, so if it is small, under a megabyte, you can just put it here on the Git repository. And it will become a link that you can download. And of course, you can link that in the Markdown file as well. So maybe you can have a media folder and just the same way we have images, just drop a zip in here. If it's 200 megabytes, you need to store this somewhere else.
Cool. So I'll like store it on Drive.
You can store it on Drive, yes. My preference, if you don't want to use Drive, my personal preference when I run into this situation, if I was doing this for myself, I would put it on archive.org.
Cool. Yeah, I love that archive.org.
Yeah, this is in fact where I host my my podcast, because
cool.
MP3s are relatively big. They're like 30 or 40 megabytes per episode. So I upload everything to the Internet Archive, and yeah. And then iTunes points to archive.org. And I don't have to pay for anything. And I am using archive.org, which is something that I like. I like them.
I like them a lot. They're great.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job for the world. And they're not the fastest hosting. So if I cared about speed, I would go for something else. But they have a nice mission and everything. So I like them. And for a podcast, it doesn't matter because you're probably going to have the podcast downloaded in the background. And when you open the app, it's already ready to play. So it doesn't matter all that much. All right. So let's commit what we have. And now we have a lot that we want to commit. This is going to be a big commit. So we have the migration.
Big commit.
Yeah, we have the migration thing. Oh, I forgot to put something here. That most recent blog post that we ignored in the migration, which is in the redirects file, the last one. I will put this line here so that you remember.
Cool.
What it is. And then we have all this stuff from the blog itself. So let's commit all of that. And just out of curiosity, I want to see in the blog folder, is it a big folder? That's my question. That's what I want to know.
Like size-wise, 12 megabytes.
It's not bad.
That's very good. That's great.
Yeah, with Git, you can get away with like 100 megabytes, 200 megabytes in the repository as a whole, with all the images and everything. So you have a lot of room to grow. Once you get past, I think, 1 gigabyte, they're going to ask you, like, can you please maybe move some of these files away? It's not a hard
Cool.
requirement, but they're going to ask you. And if you get to like
Okay.
2-3 gigabytes, they're going to say, get out of here. So
yeah. So I guess, yeah, like if there's anything over, say, 100 megabytes, I would host that elsewhere.
yeah, if you have something, I would say, if you have like images and everything, just make sure that they're not huge images and drop them in the blog post folder. It doesn't matter. You're probably gonna add up to like 100, 200 megabytes over time, and that's completely acceptable. But if you have one zip that is 100 megabytes, in theory, it could go into the Git repository, but I don't think it's a nice practice. I would put that on archive or on Drive or somewhere else. Or maybe if you have a short video that you don't want on YouTube or whatever, you can just have that on archive.org as well.
Cool.
Okay, or on Google Drive for that matter. Okay, so now migration is mostly over. Let's npm start. And this is going to be big. It's going to create HTML for all your blog posts.
Yeah. You mean like this is generating the list, or
No, this is generating the pages. So now we can go to
Oh, we generated the markdowns. Now we're doing the switcheroo. I see.
Yeah.
By the way, regarding the lists, so the way I did the URLs is like, okay, like Rapid Fire Reaper Tutorials got its own like / thing, and then in front of that is the episode number. But the way I was thinking about the list was that the list would be like topic based. So like there's now 90 Rapid Fire Reaper tutorials. 10 of them are about automation. So the list that I made is somewhat, I guess I screwed that bit up. Like the URL is irrelevant to how the list is generated. So I was wondering, can I just straight up like lift the code from reaper.fm?
No, I don't think that ripping that code off would be advantageous. But what we can try to come up with is something similar to that, and it wouldn't be too hard. In fact, that's the second part that we need to do to wrap this up for today. So I said that I would do the migration, and I think I finished the migration.
Okay, cool.
But we still have to do a list of blog posts, right? So I'm going to start with something super straightforward, and then we can try to categorize things in a different way. But let me start by just committing this. And in fact, I think there may be something else that we may want to do first. So you see how when I change anything, so let me go to maybe one blog post, and then I save this guy. So maybe I write something here and I save that. It's going to regenerate all the HTML for all the pages unnecessarily because they didn't change. Right. So I think I would like to change that first, to fix this. Only create the HTML for the files that have been modified. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is
and sorry, quick question regarding this. So if I want to edit an existing blog, I update the markdown.
Yes.
But for example, say I'm just changing one thing. I'm changing literally like one lowercase to uppercase. I could do that just on the HTML as well. Or would you advise against that?
I don't think it's a smart idea, because as soon as you want to change the template, as soon as you change something else in that blog post, whatever happens, you will overwrite your change.
Okay, so just markdown, don't touch the HTML.
Yeah, it is similar to when you are mixing a track and you do a bounce down, you take it to your car and you listen and you say, I need more bass. Are you going to do that to the MP3 that you played on your car, or are you going to do
Right.
that to the stems?
Yeah.
Right? So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you're mastering, are you going to do that to an MP3 that you bounce down, or are you going to do that to the WAV file that you began with?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do it to the
Yeah.
source material and regenerate that. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see. We are doing this part. This is the layout. This is the markdown processor. Oh, come on, where is this? Here is the layout, and we have to have a loop somewhere. This is the loop, where we have a markdown file that we are about to convert. And this whole loop is doing the conversion. So here we have to check if we really need to do the conversion or not. So I already have this. I have both the file HTML and file markdown. So now all I need to do is to check if something that we are going to check. I am going to console log skipping file markdown, because file HTML is newer. It's newer. Yes, that is correct. And then continue, which is going to make JavaScript skip the rest of this. So now we need to check for something. We need to check that. I forget how to do that. Node.js check.
I feel like you already did that for something, or am I mistaken? Like earlier when we were making the top pages, did you not set that up so that if we like change the home page, you wouldn't update the bio page as well?
No, I don't think we implemented that.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to do stat, which is going to get the statistics from file markdown. And I want to get the M time, I think. Last modified returns the time when the file status was changed last time. I think I want M time. And what is the type of this? It's a date. So I can say to time, no, get time. And then I do something similar to file HTML. Oh no, I need to do a bunch more checks actually, because the stat may be non-existent in case I have a new file, right? I don't know how to do all of this, so I am going to grab myself a new terminal and start experimenting with Node. Maybe let's go to a folder where there are some files for me to play with. So let's see, for instance, this CNAME file. The CNAME file has been last modified at this point in time. So now let's get a hold of Node and require the file system module and stat CNAME. And because I'm writing a script, I will stat sync. So all of the dates look about the same, but I think that the right one to use is the M time, because birth time is probably not going to change after you modify the file.
Right.
In fact, why don't we cancel? Why don't we change this file just so we see that number changing? Yes, so the birth time is not the one we want, but then we have 3 of them. I think M time makes more sense. But what happens? So that's a date, and when I get time, that gives me this number. This number is the number of milliseconds that have elapsed since January 1st, 1970.
I was watching a Tom Scott video on that. Is it milliseconds or is it seconds?
This is giving me milliseconds. Usually on
okay.
Unix, you would get seconds.
Oh, okay. Wowzers. It doesn't seem like much, right? It feels like there should have been more.
Big numbers, man. Okay, so we are getting the time, and everything about this works. Let me undo the change. But the cool thing is that now I saved a new version of this file. Though the contents are the same as the old contents, I saved a new version of this file. So this number, when I do this again, is going to be bigger. See, this 2 became a 3. The number is now bigger because I changed it back to the way it was. But this is not tracking changes. This is tracking the modification time. All right, so all of this works, but I also need to check that the file exists. So if I have another file that doesn't exist, this is going to error. And I don't want that to happen. So I guess I can check for the existence of this. Okay, so now I think I have all the pieces of the puzzle. So I have to check if the HTML file already exists. Exists sync. Yeah, I have to use the sync version. So if the file...
Wait, sorry, how come it's bad? If it doesn't exist, it gives you an error. Wouldn't that be good?
Well, it is good in the sense that if this error occurs, we want to proceed, but I don't want this to halt the execution of my script. And that's what that was doing. So it's just stopping the script. If I tried to ask a question about a file that doesn't exist, so it dies. But now I'm going to check first. I'm kind of laboring over this. I shouldn't. So if the HTML file already exists, and it is the case that now I need to think about the operator. Which operator do I want? I want the date in the HTML to be newer. In my streams, when I have to think about if I am using the less than or the greater than operator, I never get it right. Not a single time I get it right. Let's think through this. I want to skip if the HTML is newer than the markdown, because that means that if I generate with your old markdown, I'm just going to generate the same HTML. So I want to skip. This is skipping, okay? So this continue is skipping. I want to skip if the markdown is older. Skipping because is older than the HTML. So older is less than. So that's right. That's what I want. Now check this out. When I save this file, it reruns, but it's skipping a lot. It's skipping all of these. And maybe we don't want to show the message when it's skipping because it may be too much.
Right. We don't care, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe we just have it like this. So see, when I save the file now, it is picking things up, but it's clean exiting right away. But if I come to one of the blog posts and I change something about it, and I save, it runs just that one. And then when I do that, runs just that one. Awesome. That was easy. All of this, just 5 lines. And out of just nitpicking on this, I think I would like to see starting blah, 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 and then done when it's over. So I think I'm going to do process.std out.write. So this way, it's not going to put a new line at the end. But when it is over, I'm going to console log. Done. Now check this out. When I save this, I can go to that same markdown, change something about it, save, and then it reads like that.
Beautiful.
There is one more thing. If you change something about the template, in that case, you do want to recreate all the pages on the website because you changed the template, right? So I'm going to check not only the relationship between the markdown and the HTML, but I'm also going to check this index.js itself. If the template that is in this file changed, I want to recreate everything.
Everything.
So if the HTML exists and it is the case that either this or the get time of myself is called this in JavaScript.
Okay.
And I'm going to get the maximum or the minimum between the two. Now we have to think again. I want the most recent of the two, so I want the maximum between the two. But this is being calculated in a loop, and this is not going to change. So I can just get this and call this the, I don't know, static website, or maybe the template time. And there you have it. So now when I save this, it should go over everything again because I'm not really changing the template or the layout, but I could have.
Yeah, the file changed though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's recreating everything now.
So when I say I didn't change the template, say I kept the template, I changed one blog post, I am actually not touching the index.js. I'm not changing that. I'm just running that again, right?
Yes. So
just to confirm, my procedure when I edit a blog is I open the markdown, I make the changes. Say I'm doing 3 blocks. So I make the changes, save, make the changes, save, make the changes, save. Then I don't open the index.js. I just run it and I commit.
You don't even need to run index.js. You just npm start. Npm start is going to run. Yeah, npm start is going to run index.js. So, okay, let's simulate this. I am going to stop everything that I have going on. I'm going to close everything, and I'm going to close the Visual Studio Code project. So all you have to do is create a new Visual Studio Code window, open the folder for your website, which is, in my case, in this location.
Cool.
And then on the terminal below, you can npm start, and then you can forget about it. It's just going to be there. But I'm going to show it because I want to show how things are going to work. So you come here and you maybe change an existing blog post. You come here, you change it, and you save. And then you wait a little, and it's going to process just that file.
Cool.
And then it's new. And then you can go to your browser, and you can go to localhost. And you have to go to that URL. So I'm going to...
localhost /mfm/.
Yeah. I was trying to get just that URL, and I failed. So you go there, and there it is.
Cool.
Yep. Let's commit this.
And then I just push to GitHub once I'm done
Yeah.
editing all this stuff.
Yes.
Cool. Lovely.
Yeah. In Visual
And
Studio
if
Code, in Visual Studio Code, there is this tab here that you may want to use because it's super convenient. So you just come here to source control. And what I do is just I put a space and then command return. And then I click on sync changes and I close Visual Studio Code because I am done for the day. That's as simple as that.
Yeah,
You
I
can,
remember you showed me that or I asked you on one of the streams.
Yep. All right. So all of that is working fine, right?
Yeah.
All of that is
looks
making me
like it.
happy. There is just one thing left to do, which is a list of blog posts. So let's do that. So after we have generated the HTML for all the blog posts and everything, we are going to create a page at a particular location.
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry.
Sure.
Sorry about that. I smelled burning, and I always our stove is electric. I always forget to turn it off. But it wasn't me. It was from outside.
Okay. So I think that this front page listing all your blog posts should live at /blog. But then I checked that at /blog there is already something, and I found that it is because of this, and I don't think that this is correct. This blog post should not be at /blog.
I think that's just like I didn't make that. I think that comes with every Wix site, and on that post it like shows you some stuff like modifying your code and stuff like that. So we can delete that. That's not something I wrote.
Okay, so we are going to delete this very carefully. We are going to delete this. Hang on, let's double check. It doesn't seem like this is junk though.
Oh, the name is junk. Yeah, that is something that I wrote.
Yeah, so let's check for
but the name is weird.
/blog/ Yeah, that is the only occurrence of this. So
okay.
I think that this manage your blog blah blah can go away. So let's delete this from here. But we have a copy of this on the migration JSON. So we'll find that one there and delete from there as well. And then we need to delete everywhere where we have this, where we produced something using this. For instance, on the /post, you have your manage blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's not there,
Manage
is it?
your blog.
No,
There
it is.
Yeah.
So we delete that. And this is another place where we need to put this content somewhere. Where does this belong?
This is actually a test thing that I did. This can go away, you know? This can totes go away.
Okay, so you don't need the frog, you don't need this index, you don't need anything.
Nah.
Okay.
Kill them.
Okay, so it is
even
that.
Sad.
And I'm going to commit what we have. So we removed this last entry. We removed it from there as well. Then this page we deleted. And that page we deleted as well. Okay. Now, let's get back to creating a page at /blog/index.html. We will want to use the same layout. as for the file, this is called that. I think that's how we are using file, right? Let's see somewhere else where we have a layout being used. Yes, it is just a path to the file. So this is the file. This is important for instance, highlighting the right part of the menu.
Mm-hmm.
And then we want to have a page. Body is going to be some material. So let's start with something simple like hello. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to comment out this portion that is actually producing the website, because that is actually producing the converting markdown to HTML, because we are changing the index.js file now, and it will recreate the whole website every time I save. But I don't want that. I want to just create. I'm playing with this page right now, so I'm going to do that real quick. And I don't even need the markdown processor either. Oh, I will need the markdown processor in a moment. So that guy comes out again. And then, yeah, so let's start with this. And there is already an error somewhere. The data argument, blah, blah, blah. What is the data argument from where? Where is this error coming from? What does layout return? It returns a promise, so we need to await on that.
That's funny.
And then no such file or directory, blog index. Why do you think that you need to open that file? What am I doing with the file? I'm not doing anything with the file, so why are you trying to open that file? That doesn't make any sense, does it? Oh, okay.
Is it
okay,
related to the time conditions that we just
No,
defined
it's related
right
to
now?
this / in the beginning. It shouldn't be there. There you go.
Ah.
So now we have it. It was a clean exit. So on the website, we can go to /blog and it says hello.
Hey.
That's progress. And I think I saw something that I didn't like. Index HTML. Okay, so right now we have this blog entry here that is hidden. So I'm going to unhide it. And
Sure.
And then this is highlighted.
Beautiful.
That's highlighted, and that's right. But let's go to one of the blog posts, and it will not be highlighted. It will be wrong.
Oh, like only on the main index page is highlighted, elsewhere.
Yeah. So there are
Gotcha.
two issues. First is that I'm not regenerating this page because I commented out the part that would regenerate this page. But just take my word for it. If we saw blog here, it would not be highlighted. We need to fix that.
Makes sense.
The issue is that we are not really interested if the file is blog/index.html. We are interested in the file starts with blog/.
Cool. That's an easy fix.
Yeah.
And I guess while we're at this, maybe for music we can do the same, because maybe I'll make links like first album, second album, stuff like that.
Okay, so how about we do it for all of them?
Sure, right.
Because it doesn't
Worst
really
case
matter.
Scenario, it's useless, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just be careful about how we are doing this. The index.html file needs to, that one is right. It's the home page, so that one is special. But then all of these other ones, they can be like file dot starts with open parens, then that, and then close, and then delete, and there you go. Oh, I think it would be nice to have a forward slash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I forgot why I wanted to have blog and then tutorials, but I guess in reality, I remembered. I thought tutorials would be where the list is, but I like your idea more. It's blog. You go to the blog. That's the tutorial. I don't know.
We can iterate on this, but first I want to have a list of
Cool.
blog posts here. I think that is fundamental.
Cool.
And then we can
Right.
work with like tags and whatnot,
Cool.
categories and everything. Okay, so let's commit this change that we did. If it worked, it did. It gave us no errors, so it worked.
Beautiful.
So yeah, instead of saying hello, I actually want to have a list of blog posts. I'm just going to keep it very simple and have a list of blog posts.
Sure.
So to do that, I will need to use Globby to get a hold of all your blog posts. So let me use Globby in a manner that is similar to this.
I got a question. How come you're doing on the index.js and not on the blog page?
You mean
Or is this the index.js of the blog?
No, this is the static website generator.
Main one. Okay,
yeah.
okay. Uh-huh.
But maybe the name index here may be confusing, but I'm doing this here because this is a kind of a special page that is generated based on the contents of your blog.
Oh, I see.
I think it will become more apparent once I am able to actually complete this part that I'm writing. So let's see. I'm finding all the... I guess I'm going to find all the index.html files. And I need to ignore... No, none of these folders make sense to ignore in this context. So all I got to do is this. And this is going to return to me a list. So I think that this already works. Let's save this, and now it's done. And then we go to /blog. Then we have a list of all the HTML files.
Beautiful.
Then we are going to map this list. Why is there another await here? That's unnecessary. Oh, you know what? I think I'm actually going to get a hold of the markdown files. Yeah, I think I'm going to get a hold of the markdown files. Not that it matters too much, but... Okay, so for each one of these markdown files, I am going to return some HTML, which is a link to /blog, blah, blah, blah. No, I think at this position, all I have to do is just take the markdown file and slice off index.md length negative from the end. And I'll put a slash there just for good measure. Now they are links that actually link to stuff that doesn't exist. Oh, I think I need a / in the beginning. And there you have it. So the links are working. But this is nothing to write home about, right? We want to have a link with like the title of the post. How about that? The title of the post.
Sure.
Let me commit what I have so far. So to get a hold of the title of the post, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to parse this markdown. How am I parsing the markdown? Well, this is actually perfect. This is more or less exactly what I want. Oh, except that I was calling it file markdown. So let me call it file markdown. And in this situation, I don't want to use the layout. I just want to use the markdown processor, and I want to read the file like so. And I think just a little, yeah, I think I need here just a little bit of preamble so that JS DOM is going to parse this the right way, the way that I want it to parse. So just a tiny bit of preamble there. And in the body, we are just going to dump that. Just like that. So this is like a minimal template that has no usable material, just for the benefit of JS DOM, so it parses this correctly. Oh, actually, there's another way of doing this that is even smarter. Is this going to work for me? Yes, I think so. Yeah, there's another way of doing this, which is like this. So now JS DOM knows that this is a fragment. So there you have it. That is better. And this is not going to be any kind of DOM. This is just a document fragment. So I'll call this the document. And in there, I will take the document dot query selector of an h2 and get its inner HTML. And something failed. It's not happy about the markdown processor. There's a syntax error in my file. Oh, is there? 456, line 456.
There's an extra $sign. Is that supposed to be there?
Yes, that $sign, the extra one, means this is HTML coming in. Don't try to pretend that this is text and escape it. So what is up with this? I need to make some function asynchronous, this one. And then I need to promise all the whole thing. And I need to await on that. Just some good old promise juggling. Now I think that everything is all right, so I save that. And that's a clean exit. And I go there, and there you go. Now we have the titles of the posts pointing at the posts. But this is still nothing to write home about. So how about we have now at least something here, like a paragraph.
Thank you, Bo.
Oh, so chat is still going? Yeah, it wasn't updating.
He just said bless you.
So now this looks like this, and it is better. It's a list of every blog post you ever wrote.
Fantastic. That's gorgeous.
Now, you know what could be cooler? We could get a hold of the first image, if any, on the blog post and put that here as well.
Mm-hmm.
We can try that.
If it's easy even to put the latest one on top, which I think with your M times situation or something similar, that would be easy. Then...
Yes, so that is an interesting thing. Right now, we are just getting all the files. And we could get the M time of the file. But that's not good because what you're interested in is not the file that was most recently modified. For instance, if you fixed a blog post, you don't want it to jump up top again. So you're not interested in the most recent file. You are interested in some other notion of chronological order. And where is that notion embedded? Where is it encoded? I don't know, actually. We don't have that information yet. It is
what about
here
birth time?
Not even that. Not even that. Because, for instance, for the migration, the birth time of all the files is just the whatever order that our migration script picked the files from.
Right? I see, yeah. They don't
so this
know.
information is here embedded in here, but we didn't carry this through in our migration. So we need to do some extra work on the migration to get this date. In fact, I think it's important to have the date on the blog post. And right now, if I go to a blog post, there is no date there. So maybe
I guess not a huge deal other than for sorting them, really.
Yeah, but this is an issue. So for some other point, we need to think about the migrate post data and order posts by date. And there is also
by the way, I
category.
have to leave in 14 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can just maybe put the images here because it's so easy, and then we can call it a day.
Sure.
Okay, so I have my README file that I modified, and then let's just put an image there because it will be so easy to do that. How am I going to do it? Well, maybe I will have this link is actually now a div. And this div will have first the title as a paragraph, and then another paragraph, which is my image. Oh, but I want to make sure that I have an image, right? So the image will be this. And then I need to check, is image null? If so, don't output anything. If not, then output a paragraph with the image alter HTML. Let's see if we have a clean exit.
Gorgeous, lovely.
I mean, not perfect. We probably want to style this better, and in some cases, you may not want to use the image. I don't know. But it's something.
Yeah.
And at least it shows that the thing holds water, that the thing works.
Right.
Oh, and there is a nice notion of order here. I mean, not quite, but there is a notion of order, which is like episode 1 and episode 2.
First. Yeah, I think what it is the way the order is based on the subgroups, and then the numbers are in order. So like it starts with MISC, then it's like LLS, which is Let's Learn Scripting Together. Then it's like Rapid Fire Repair Tutorials, but then those are in order of the number, like not chronologically, but episode numerically.
Yeah. So let's, as a crude approximation to begin with, let's just reverse the order of the list so that latest is going to be on top.
And that's the
So now
so
it
sound
kind of
design
looks
stuff.
like it's ordered, but it's by accident.
Except because that it will start with 1, then 10, 11, I think what it is. Yeah. I should have done it. I should have maybe done the URLs to be 0102
I
and
see.
then like
Yeah, I mean, this is a crude
I just
approximation. We are going to do something clever
wrote.
later with
Cool.
the actual date. But for now, I think this is good enough to begin with. It's a list of blog posts. So I'm going to uncomment this and I'm going to save. And this is going to recreate all the pages, but with the new layout, including the link to the blog.
Cool.
And then we'll be able to go to one of these and wait until it has been recreated. It seems like it's over. So now we see the blog thing highlighted.
Beautiful.
And then we can commit all the changes everywhere. And we can come to the README because we have a list of blog posts. And then that's it for today. Yeah.
And if I want to make a new blog, right, all I got to do is go, like, for example, go to blog/RFRT, create a new folder there that's called like 90, I think it's 88, the next one, because I'm behind on the blogs. And then I just create an index.md there, write the code in there in Markdown.
Yeah. Let's do that, actually.
Save and commit.
Let's do that. So let's say that you want to create a new episode of these. It will be episode 14. So you can just click here to create a new file, and you can say that the name of the file is going to be 14/index.md. And then in here, you can say like hello world, and you can save, and you'll see some stuff happening here.
Cool.
And then you can go to /blog. And you have
program 14.
Yeah. I guess I can look for hello world. It will be in there in some order, any order. But you click on that, you can see the blog post. So it will be there. And similarly, if you want to delete a blog post, you just delete the whole folder and it will be gone. And if you do that, then go somewhere, anywhere. It may be even like the index.js file. Just go somewhere. If you delete a blog post, go somewhere, anywhere, and save again. Because, I didn't have to go to index.js, did I? I just want to regenerate the list of blog posts. So just save something anywhere. It will refresh the list of blog posts.
But if I'm making a new one, I just save that, and that's enough to
that will
run
trigger
this mush.
That will trigger a rebuild of the blog list as well.
Fantastic.
Alrighty. So this is a new list of blog posts based on I don't even remember what. And I'm going to push, which makes everything that we worked on online right now. And with that, we can wrap it up. Tomorrow, I'll be here streaming about JS Effects. We'll talk about performance. And thank you very much, Arya, for letting me play around with your website.
Thank you. So what do you say? I guess we're not like fully done with all the things.
We'll never be.
But you'll never be fully done. But I do want, like we have one loyal viewer, and that's Bo. And so we gotta get back to coding. I'm just wondering, what if we just next Monday do coding, and in the meantime, I got tons of homework to do, like manually change what's there. I can create new blogs. Some stuff looks a little like unsightly. That can be okay, but at least we can maybe do a few coding things. I can try and like do it myself, and if I just fuck up, we can maybe devote like a 15-minute at the end of the live streams to that or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So
yeah.
the schedule is tomorrow. So yeah, for the website, the roadmap is you have a lot of work to do. Go do your homework, and we can forget about it. For tomorrow, I'm doing JS Effects. On Wednesday, I'm not streaming, so you should know that, Arya. I'm not streaming on Wednesday. Okay. It is my birthday, so I will be unavailable.
Woo! Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And then on Thursday, JS Effects. On Friday, JS Effects. And then on Monday, we will be doing JS Effects, but on your stream, right?
Sure, yeah.
We'll be back at Iddqd Sound for that, okay?
Yeah, and then we got one thing that we should finish because I think it'll be a quick finish, and that's our little text auto typer.
Okay.
We need to put the finishing touches on that, so we'll do that. Then we'll get into something new, which is very cool. Happy birthday. You have the exact same birthday as my mom, October 20th, so I'll remember that forever.
All right. Great. Okay, yeah, so next Monday, we'll do some video processors in Reaper. And that's all. Any final words?
No, thank you so much. This is shaping up great. And yes, coding, yes.
Yes, coding. A compressor with Bezier curves for attack and release. Sure. Yes, compressors. We'll get there. But next Monday, we'll do a video processor. I will get into compressors a whole lot on my own stream when we get there. We'll get there. I will be doing JS Effects for a long while, I think. I'm having a lot of fun doing it, so I'll keep doing it. All right.
Cool.
Yeah, let's sign off. Bye.